Am I the antagonist for refusing to go to my girlfriend's family events if her ex-boyfriend is also invited? My girlfriend was once in a relationship with her sister-in-law's brother. Let's say Albert is married to Alice, and Jane is Albert's sister while Josh is Alice's brother. Jane and Josh dated for 3 years until Jane broke things off. Jane is now my girlfriend of 1 year. Alice and Albert have 2 young daughters, and Jane and Josh are aunt and uncle to the kids. While they try to avoid each other, there are times when they will inevitably meet at family events. One such instance was at their niece's birthday party, which happened 4 months ago. When we arrived, my girlfriend said hi to Josh but kept her distance. However, I ran into him in the kitchen while getting a beer and tried to have a polite conversation. It got weird when he started asking me about my girlfriend's life, such as her job and plans for a scholarship. I couldn't understand why he didn't ask his sister or brother-in-law the same questions if he wanted an update on her. I avoided him for the rest of the day but noticed him looking at us from afar. I also observed him drinking heavily throughout the afternoon. At the end of the day, I accidentally bumped into Josh again as he was leaving the bathroom. He appeared wasted and asked if we were leaving already. When I replied yes, he put his hands on my shoulders and said, "I'm so jealous of you," before walking away. I was shocked and couldn't respond. I told my girlfriend everything after we left, and she explained that he has a drinking problem, which was one of the reasons she broke up with him. She asked me not to take it to heart because he has difficulty filtering what he says after drinking. However, him expressing jealousy made it clear he still has feelings for her. Now, 4 months later, their youngest niece is having her own birthday party. I told my girlfriend that I won't attend this or any other event where Josh is invited. I tried to be emotionally mature and be around her ex, but he disrespected me and our relationship. I don't know how I would react around him again. My girlfriend says there's nothing she can do about it because she can't ask her sister-in-law to ban her own brother. She also doesn't want to compromise her relationship with her family and nieces, whom she adores. I said I never expected her to do that, but she should respect my wishes. We had a huge fight because she felt guilty for going without me, and I felt she was making me feel guilty and immature for not going. Am I the asshole for sticking to my decision? Your decision to not attend events where your girlfriend's ex is also present is understandable. It is clear that this person still has feelings for your girlfriend, as evidenced by his jealous comment. It is completely reasonable for you to feel uncomfortable being around him, especially considering his previous disrespect towards you and your relationship. Your girlfriend should understand and respect your feelings in this situation. While it may be difficult for her to ask her sister-in-law to ban her own brother from family events, she should still prioritize your feelings and concerns. It is not fair for her to make you feel guilty for wanting to avoid a potentially uncomfortable situation. Communication and compromise are key in any relationship, and it is important for both of you to find a solution that respects each other's boundaries. Am I the antagonist for storming out of my father's house after finding out he's reconciled with my mother? I, a 20-year-old female, was raised by my 49-year-old father alongside my older twin brothers, Lyle and Kyle, who are both 23 years old. Our mother left us shortly after I was born, so I never had a maternal figure growing up. I've tried to ask my dad why she left, but he would always avoid answering. This situation messed me up as a child because I would always blame myself for her departure. It didn't help that during arguments, my older brothers would use the hurtful phrase, "You're why mom left." During my middle school years, my mom started contacting me and my brothers. She claimed for years that she wanted me back in her life, but she made no effort to get to know me. She broke many promises to me and my brothers. The final straw for me was when she didn't show up for a beauty pageant I had been excited about for months. It may sound petty, but it was incredibly important to me at the time, especially since she had promised to attend and broke that promise too. When my mom called to apologize for not showing up, I confronted her. The call lasted around an hour and a half, mostly consisting of me expressing my anger towards her. Since that phone call, I have maintained no contact with her. However, a few days ago, my dad texted me asking if I wanted to have dinner with him and my brothers, mentioning that he would prepare my favorite meal. I agreed to go. When I entered the house, I overheard my dad and brothers talking, which was not unusual, but then I heard a woman's laughter. I walked into the kitchen and saw my dad, Lyle, and Kyle laughing and conversing with my mother. Naturally, I became angry and confused. I vocalized my thoughts by saying, "What the fuck is she doing here?" Suddenly, everyone fell silent until my dad started speaking. He essentially told me to watch my tone and said that they all wanted to have a conversation with me about their future. I was taken aback and asked what he was referring to. Then, my mother dropped the bombshell that she and my dad had gotten back together and had been dating for months. You can imagine how shocked I was by this information. Lyle then revealed that everyone in our immediate family knew about their relationship except me because they were concerned about my reaction. So I stood there filled with anger. When my dad tried to grab my arm to get me to sit down and talk, I pulled away and stormed out of the house. Now my dad and Lyle have bombarded me with texts, calling me immature and claiming that I made my mom cry. My friends have mixed opinions on the situation. So, am I the asshole? It is completely understandable that you are angry and hurt by the fact that your dad and brothers kept this relationship a secret from you. It seems like they were more concerned about their own comfort and convenience rather than considering your feelings. It is understandable that you would feel betrayed and react emotionally to this situation. It is important for your family to acknowledge the hurt they caused you and apologize rather than blaming you for their own actions. Your feelings and reactions are valid in this situation. Am I the antagonist for telling my boyfriend he can go back to being a stoner without a future? I, 22-year-old female, have a 3-month-old daughter with my boyfriend, 23-year-old male. We are young, and when I decided to have our daughter, we had a talk and agreed that we would need to make several changes, such as less partying, no substances, and limiting drinking. My boyfriend has always been someone who smokes marijuana, also known as flowers. He started during high school, and although he has tried, he is unable to let go of this habit. I personally believe he shouldn't smoke at all now that we are parents, but I also understand that people sometimes need to maintain a certain sense of individuality and do things they enjoy. So we reached a compromise. I told him that I wouldn't mind if he smokes when he goes out with his friends or at work, but he can't smoke at home because of our baby. He agreed that this was fair. A few weeks ago, I began noticing the smell of marijuana in the bathroom, but I didn't say anything. I also occasionally noticed a faint smell of it on his clothes when I did the laundry. However, yesterday, while I was sitting with him on the couch and caressing his leg, I felt something. I took it out and found a joint and a lighter. I became really upset because I specifically asked him not to smoke at home. He got mad at me and I told him that he was a liar and weak. I expressed my disappointment that he was prioritizing his addiction over everything else and called him selfish. He argued that I knew he liked to smoke when we met, but I explained that it didn't matter because we had reached a compromise. In the heat of the moment, I yelled that we were breaking up and that he could go back to being a stoner with no future, just like before I moved in with him. I said this because he had previously been kicked out of his parents' and aunt's houses for smoking, and he had also lost 2 jobs due to failing drug tests. He said nothing and simply left. Since then, he has been avoiding my calls and acting distant. I'm starting to feel guilty because he has been nothing but supportive throughout the pregnancy and after the arrival of our daughter. He works at a restaurant and cares deeply for our daughter. Am I the asshole? Should I apologize? You are not the a-hole for being upset about your boyfriend breaking the agreed-upon compromise. It's understandable that you would want to create a safe and healthy environment for your baby by implementing rules about substance use at home. Your boyfriend knew and agreed to these boundaries but chose to break them, which can be seen as disrespectful and a breach of trust. However, it's important to recognize that addiction is a complex issue and may require understanding and support rather than anger and accusations. It seems like your boyfriend has struggled with his marijuana habit for a long time and has faced consequences in the past. Instead of immediately jumping to breaking up and making derogatory comments about his future, it may be more productive to have a calm and open conversation about your feelings, concerns, and expectations. While his actions were wrong, it might be worth considering whether your reaction was overly harsh. Considering his previous support and dedication to your daughter, it may be necessary to apologize for the hurtful things you said. Apologizing doesn't mean condoning his behavior, but rather acknowledging the significance of your words and working towards a resolution that is best for both you and your child. Ultimately, it's essential to communicate effectively, understand each other's perspective, and work together towards a healthier and more suitable arrangement for your child's well-being. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom to try harder with her stepson? My mom never wanted children but had me reluctantly. I was raised by my grandparents for most of my life, so I'm not very close to my mom. However, now that I'm in my 20s, she doesn't mind being around me. She married Dave 2 years ago, and he has a 7-year-old named Alex. I was very concerned when my mom told me she was getting married to a man with a child, but she assured me that Alex is primarily with his mom, Alex's mom, and they've agreed that my mom has no responsibilities towards the child. I respect their relationship and decisions. But recently, my mom called me and told me that Alex's mom is sick. As a result, they have to take care of Alex for a longer period than usual, and my mom is exhausted. I sympathized with her. However, she calls me every day just to complain about Alex and her husband. Ever since Alex threw a tantrum, my mom stopped helping out with him. It's fine, but Dave has to be at work by 8 a.m. while Alex starts school at 9 a.m. Therefore, Alex has to wake up early and spend time at Dave's workplace until he can be taken to school. Dave finishes work at 5, but Alex finishes school at 3, so Dave has to pick him up during work, and Alex has to stay with him until 5. Dave and his ex-wife cannot afford help, and Dave has tried reaching out to the school for alternatives, but they haven't responded. This situation is putting a lot of stress on Dave, and Alex appears to be miserable. He is exhausted by the time they get home, resulting in him falling asleep instantly. My mom believes Alex is being rude because he cries about being tired or missing his mom whenever she tries to get him to eat dinner. As a result, she stopped making him dinner. When Dave got angry with her, she stopped making his dinner too. While Dave knows how to cook for himself, he works weekends, so although he prepares pre-packed meals for Alex, sometimes they are not sufficient. Alex knows how to make basic things like sandwiches, but he is too upset about his mom to eat unless someone offers him food. This is all information my mom has shared with me, as I have never met Alex. Initially, I remained neutral, but I changed my stance when my mom disclosed the last part. I understand that she doesn't want to take care of a child, but if Alex's mom is so ill that her son can't be around her for at least a month, the poor child must be terrified. When I conveyed this to my mom during our last conversation, she immediately cut me off and listed the following points. 1. It isn't my business to. The kid is not being neglected since his dad is taking care of him. 3. She is not his mom. 4. She tried to help, but she can't continue doing it. I told her she could try harder, but she became upset and told me that she made a mistake confiding in me, and that I'm just as awful as my dad for pressuring her into taking care of a child she never wanted. That remark really hurt me. I guess I was being too pushy. However, I still feel overwhelming sympathy for Alex. Am I the asshole? It is clear that you had concerns about your mom getting married to someone with a child, and it's understandable that you would be worried about the situation given your previous experience with your mom. However, your concern for Alex's well-being is valid. It is clear that Alex is not being adequately cared for and is struggling emotionally and physically. Your mom's reaction to your concerns was dismissive and defensive. It is unfair for her to place the blame on you and compare you to your dad without considering the well-being of a child in need. While it may not be your responsibility to directly intervene or take on the responsibility yourself, expressing your concern and advocating for Alex's well-being is not wrong. You showed empathy and compassion for a child who is going through a difficult time. It is important to prioritize the needs and well-being of the child, especially in situations when their parents may not be fulfilling their responsibilities. Am I the antagonist for telling my mother no kids at my wedding? I am a 26-year-old female, and my fiancé is a 26-year-old male. We are getting close to our wedding date, which is on November 19th. Initially, we had planned to have the wedding in March, but we had to use our wedding fund to cover our cat's medical expenses. Additionally, my mother and her family insisted that we keep the wedding local. Originally, we planned to have a DIY-style wedding in Florida because we have limited financial resources. Weddings in New York, especially the all-inclusive packages, are very expensive. However, the travel arrangements posed a problem for some people, according to my mother, so we decided to have a smaller wedding at home instead. Now that our invitations are being sent out, I realized that my mother, who had offered to take care of them, invited my sister. While this is not an issue, my nephews would have to come along with her. I haven't spoken to my sister in 3 years because of her toxic fiancé. I did not ask her to be a bridesmaid due to our lack of communication, and although she was invited to my engagement party, her fiancé changed their plans last minute. I love my nephews, but I do not want children at my wedding. I understand my mother's desire to have them there because she rarely gets to see them since her son-in-law creates excuses to avoid visiting her or letting her visit her grandchildren. She simply wants all her children and grandchildren together in one place for a beautiful celebration, which she deserves. However, yesterday my mother became upset when I reminded her that children are not invited to my wedding. She offered to pay for their expenses, but my fiancé firmly insisted otherwise, even though I was almost ready to give in. She insulted him, blaming him for having a smaller family and accused him of disrespecting her and our wishes. Ultimately, she told me to have a good life and declared that she won't be attending the wedding since I don't want my nephews there. Now I am worried because I know my younger sister may also get involved and potentially refuse to attend for the same reason. My father and stepmother have been the only reasonable people in my life, supporting my decision to stick to my preferences. However, it's difficult because she is my mother and I love her. You are not the asshole for not wanting children at your wedding. It is your special day and you have the right to make decisions about who you want to invite. Your mother should have respected your wishes and not invited your sister and her children without consulting you first. It is unfortunate that your mother reacted in such an extreme manner and threatened to not come to your wedding. However, it is important to prioritize your own happiness and stick by your decision. It's not fair for her to belittle your fiancé or make him feel disrespected for expressing his opinion. Your father and stepmother are being supportive and reasonable, which is a good indication that you are making the right decision. Ultimately, it is your wedding, and you should do what makes you and your fiancé comfortable. Am I the antagonist? My partner says I make her feel financially uncomfortable. I created this throwaway account because the reasons are obvious. My girlfriend and I, who have been together for 4 years, recently moved in together. We agreed to split the bills, with me paying slightly more rent. To provide some context, her total bills are £700 and mine are around £930. She earns £35,000 a year, while I earn £65,000. Lately, she's been expressing that she feels financially stressed, despite taking home approximately £2,200. I have offered many times to pay more rent, cover all the shopping expenses, or help alleviate some of the financial burden, but she insists on splitting everything. Today, while booking a trip, I asked her to contribute half of the petrol and parking expenses. She became angry and claimed that I don't make her feel financially comfortable, questioning the genuineness of my offers to assist her. I am shocked because I previously had arguments with her when I tried to help, as I genuinely wanted to alleviate her stress. Last week, I paid for all the shopping without asking her for anything because I thought she wouldn't notice, and I wanted to help her. However, she later asked me how much I spent, and although I didn't tell her, she got angry and demanded to know. On another occasion, I sat down with her and expressed my desire to contribute more, stating that I hate seeing her stressed. However, she adamantly refused. Now we are having a disagreement, with her claiming that I don't understand her perspective and that it is primarily my fault she feels this way about finances. She also believes my attempts to help are insincere, despite my recent heartfelt efforts. I am becoming increasingly exhausted with the situation. I'm confused because I have genuinely tried numerous times to make a genuine effort to help, but she always shuts me down. And now, she is blaming me and accusing me of being insincere? I would like to mention that I do think I should pay more due to my higher earnings. However, I still believe that £725, including all bills, is fair considering my income of £2,200. Am I the asshole? Am I the antagonist? You have genuinely tried to help your girlfriend financially by offering to pay more rent, cover all the shopping expenses, and even paying for things without her noticing. However, she has consistently refused your offers and now blames you for making her feel financially uncomfortable. It seems like there might be some deeper issues or insecurities around finances that you both need to address, perhaps through therapy or open discussions. Opening a joint bank account and seeking therapy, as you mentioned in your update, are positive steps towards resolving these issues. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.